me start this. We're gonna swatch over. So fade. All right, there we go.
Here we go.
All right. Sorry, everybody.
Ho, hello, hello, hello. It
Yes.
wouldn't be a Tales of Aneria stream if it didn't have a little jank to it, wouldn't you
It's
agree?
true. It's true. You can't start a stream properly. That's just the rules. That's
Yep. Very true, very true.
it's part of it.
Bosco said it's the Lore Weaver and the Art Mage are back for another round.
Yes.
So, and I love that perfectly. So that's great. Welcome everybody tonight for the Tales of Aneria or the Aneria Shattered Realms art stream with Preston doing all of the art and me just here adding colorful commentary and occasionally being witty and entertaining. Occasionally.
Always.
I sound a little quiet.
Here, I can crank you up a little bit. Give me a second. There you go. Now try talking
I'm just
again.
going to start screaming in the mic, and then you can tell me when it's loud enough. So
we'll start with some screamo.
Perfect. So I'm hearing a connection and disconnection every now and then.
Yep.
The USB one.
That's. So when I switch computers right now because we don't have a KVM, that's what you're hearing. So if you hear that,
okay.
On stream, off stream, it's just me.
Alrighty. Perfect.
Okay. All right. Now that everything's all actually functioning, we're good. So this is one of those things where I'm sure everybody knows that if you ever restart your computer, despite turning Windows Update off, there's still a chance that it'll just say, "Hey, forget it. I'm just going to do the update. You restarted." So yeah. So and the big problem,
especially when it's not before a stream, right?
It's true. It's true. Well, unlike that machine, so I have two machines here, and then the Go XLRs. And what happens is Windows Update happens, and then Windows tanks the OneDrive connection where all the profiles are stored for Go XLR. So then you have to go log everything back in, reconfigure it. It's a blast. It's the best. That's right. Microsoft knows best. You're right, Spambot. Okay.
Yeah. So we've got already a couple suggestions tonight because I asked people to get some prepared. Feel free to shout them out as you go. Casey, my dear wife, said a character that I want to play as. I'll think about that one and see if I can come up with something that might be interesting. And then Whatspot 318 asked us to draw the Guardian of the Forest song, the treant with the chimes. From one of our most recent episodes, episode 2.
Spoiler alert.
Yep. Yeah, if you haven't seen that yet, you should go check it out. It's one of my favorite combats of the season. Not as great as the combat last night that we recorded, but
that was fun.
Holy crap. I can't wait for you guys to see that episode. It was amazing.
If you don't love chaos, you don't love fun, and you don't love hijinks, then this is not for you. But
Scott says we need to draw it in the style of Bob Ross as well for the tree.
All right, and now we're gonna have a happy little tree here.
Then you're gonna take your brush and you're just gonna beat the devil out.
You're just gonna. We don't have accidents.
Just actually, what have you played before that you enjoyed the most? I would say there have been. So I'm currently playing my whale druid. My whale lord druid and Audian, and he is fantastic. I do love him. Out of the characters that I've played before, Turgan is definitely up there. You can check him out on our not broken spear, our bronze battalion off game that we did with Dallin being the DM. I always loved playing Turgan, and then I really liked playing Roland in Preston's game actually. Roland was awesome.
Greenfield.
He was always just a fun little character to play because I was playing him as a paladin, but I was playing him as like a new adventurer, right? He was just barely off the farm boy, and he didn't know what the heck was going on, and it caused him a lot of trauma before he eventually died twice. And then Whatspot asks, what did you play before, Preston, that you've enjoyed the most? Which character have you played?
There's a lot of them that I've really enjoyed. I've played, there was a bard named Brahm that I enjoyed thoroughly just because he was kind of bombastic and silly, and he tried to be suave and very like courtly, but usually ended up kind of fumbling through Mr. Magoo style, which was a lot of fun. I did have a tiefling, my very first, and I think that's just what do you call it? Uh, nostalgia talking. But
Oh yeah.
my very first ever character was a tiefling warlock by the name of Oryx Omeron Scurius. And he would kind of run around, and he was a sage, and it was just fun because I think I ended up having Spell Sniper on him and Eldritch Blast, and then I just like packed everything on top of Eldritch Blast. So from like 300 feet away, without as long as I could see even a corner of him, I'd laser him from somewhere else. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
But
a true warlock right there.
yes,
for sure.
yes. Taserface, if you haven't seen it, Taserface was a lot of fun to play too. In that one shot with Ogma, and
Yep.
there was, I think, what was that? Her 20,000 subscriber for
that was
D4?
that was not Tori's, Colby's 10,000 subscriber.
10,000, yeah. So that
What
that one
class
was
was
fun.
Turgan? Turgan was a battle master fighter, and he went into Bard as well towards the end there. I mean, he's still around, but the idea behind it was that the Bard didn't provide him any magic. He didn't think it provided him, like he didn't think it was magical at all. He just thought he was really good at motivating people and bringing, making them ignore their wounds and that kind of thing. But he definitely was at least a little magical as far as being a Bard. I'll give you the exact ones here as I pull it up. We made it to level 13 with those characters. We started off at like 7, I think, for those. He was a fighter 8 and a bard 5, so he very much was the battlefield. Like he would call out the shots, and very rarely would do very much damage himself. Sarge is how everybody knows him, though.
Yep. From that campaign, I think I really enjoyed playing as Eliza as well. She was a fun character where she was kind of this I don't want to say ditzy, but just very kind of airheaded or just very kind of aloof. And until like something happened that you either like besmirched her god or did something, and then she'd get like super hyper serious. So similar, like some of those tones you see in Victor. But
yeah,
it was fun to have that, explore that kind of condition of like what a death cleric could do. It was a lot of fun. They do a lot of damage. I was surprised.
Anthony Cassidy already starting us off with the $27.99 donation. Woo! Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Love it.
Thanks for so Anthony, I have to say we did mention you during the game last night.
Yeah.
So thank you for the Alchemist's Fire.
Pretty much, you're paying for it right now for sure. Another $13.99. Appreciate it. Yeah. Last night Preston was asking me how much he would needed to bribe me in order to have Alchemist Fire be just laying around, and Scott mentioned that all he needed to do was have Anthony buy it via donations.
That was funny. So I'm sorry, Watts, you're right. He was a lot of fun. It was short-lived, but a lot of fun.
And we probably haven't seen the last of who. I mean, the Little Hopes have a little bit more adventure to go. We just need to have a time to do them. That's just more of a we need to have a game scheduled, so we'll have to see what we can do with that. Because I do love the Little Hopes. I think they're greatest. Little Hopes, Littlest Hopes, whatever you want to call them. Actually, do you remember? So there's a character that I'm bringing in from the Little Hopes for one of the upcoming games, and actually Victor has probably worked very close with this character at this point. You remember Leah, right? Yeah. Okay, good. I'm trying to see, gauge how much everybody remembers her, because she was really only in one scene for the Little Hopes.
She was at the very beginning, wasn't she? With when we were doing all like the contracts and stuff, and she was like the liaison.
Yeah, she was the liaison. She's the law mage in Salsport. She's kind of been helping Victor come up with better contracts. She's helping facilitate any sort of like legal needs that may arise for the Watch. Okay, so yep, $13.99 with a dancing fox for that's for the fire. That's a firefox. Okay,
firefox. I like it.
Cory, in Aneria, what race class would you play? So that kind of brings me into what I actually want to talk about tonight, because they recently came out with the next set of playtest rules.
Yes.
for 1D&D, and they came out with the updated rogue rules with the new updated thief subclass. And I kind of want to play a rogue thief now. Like, I've never played a rogue before, and it like I was going through both the classes,
Then
just the playtest one and the live one, and it's really interesting to me. Preston, like, you're playing a rogue currently.
yeah, the playtest. So this brings me to the playtest stuff. So I haven't had a chance to read through it all, but I had seen some stuff that had popped up on TikTok and some other platforms, and one of them they were talking about how they kind of neutered bards a little bit and made it so they only had 4, I think, classes or 4 different schools of magic that they could use. Have you read that
Yeah,
part yet?
yes,
It's
and
just
they
like
they didn't.
they did.
So
Did they end up taking it back out or?
no. So what people are thinking
Is it-
is that limiting them to we got a dog alert. That's a dog alert, everyone. Limiting them to those spells, like those spell schools, are basically limiting them, right? But I don't remember too many.
Yeah, I think it was like
Um,
abjuration, something else, and I'd seen it come up, and I was like, "Crap!" So I need to read that and understand better what it actually is going to be doing. But I was
yeah.
worried for my bards.
So the I'm gonna pull it up here because we are definitely talking about all of this tonight. To answer the race question for my character, it would be an X totally. I want to do like the four-armed. Oh yeah, like my Pokemon master that I played, Smoke Snag'em, in our 15K Rumble or 20K Rumble that we did, where it was a team match.
I think that was the 20. It was either
Yeah.
15 or 20. I can't remember which one. Been a hot minute since we played those, but
So what they did is for the bard.
sorry to hijack the
No.
stuff.
This is exactly what I wanted to talk about tonight, so this is fine.
Cursor
Armor training, spells.
See, stick to the walls at night, sneak in walls, and steal stuff. Yes.
Blah, blah.
Oh, hold on. I also need to get the correct.
Only from divination, enchantment, illusion, and transmutation, right? So no abjuration and no evocation. And no necromancy. Okay? Necromancy isn't really a bard thing ever, although the idea of playing a song and raising the dead is really cool, you know. The abjuration is probably the most jarring because that's like protection spells.
Yeah, it's like you're a support class, like, and you're taking away all the support stuff.
Evocation is probably the one that people are upset about the most because that's typically where a lot of your damaging spells come from. But they also, let's see here. They also took some spells, I think, like Shatter. Let's see. So if you look in the Bard spell list right now, Shatter comes up as an evocation spell, right? So it wouldn't be available. However, in the playtest, Shatter is a transmutation spell. Yep. So they are basically and Dancing Lights, which was another evocation, is now an illusion spell, which makes a lot more sense to me.
I agree.
Thunderwave is transmutation. Blindness, deafness is transmutation now. Flaming Sphere is evocation instead of conjuration, which makes sense because you're not really conjuring like a creature. You're just creating a ball of fire. That's the same thing as a fireball, but it just kind of sticks around. Shatter's transmutation. Stone Skin's now transmutation. Sending is divination. There's a lot of spells that they've changed the specific spell school for, and those are specifically like these are spells that the bard should still have access.
Right.
And then yes, they can branch into any other school with certain colleges, like the College of Lore can branch into and grab like 2 spells from a specific spell school each day.
That's kind of why I tend to go that way, just because I don't know, I just don't like getting pigeonholed, because I feel like there's sometimes I'm like, thematically this works, and I'm loving it, and I'm going, and then I hit a wall. I'm like, man, I would love to have this spell as this type, but I can't because it's not in the school of magic that's there, and that's typically why I think that's probably my favorite class, just because of the the ability. Bosco says blower bards are especially nerfed. Yeah.
Yeah, and there definitely is
Life
some
stealer
nerfs
weapon.
there. However, I don't
Ooh.
I don't mind the new inspiration. I know that there are a lot of people who like the old inspiration where it's you grab you hand somebody the dice and then they forget about it for 3 rounds and they don't use it. But this
Right.
time now you can just basically cast it on somebody. Using it as a reaction is kind of crappy, but it opens up your bonus action for other things, so it's kind of a weird trade off there.
Right. I saw one in the chat. I believe it was in the Discord. So if you're not in the Discord, go check it out. But the one of the discussions they were talking about was piety, and I haven't opened anything as far as Theros. I think that's in the Theros books. But
Mhm.
instead of using the XP system, that was, to me, that was completely new. And so like I wondered how, if they were going to continue to like include that in like future publications, or if it was exclusive to that. So hey
I
Joe.
think it's exclusive to Theros because piety does not sound familiar to me.
Yeah, if as far as I understood it, it was like an XP system that was based on like doing great deeds to the gods or something.
Mhm.
It was kind of interesting. Anthony, Anthony says again.
Can I buy Preston? No, I'm
Yes,
putting a kibosh
yes,
on this. No,
yes. It's
no more
canon.
purchasing magic
Dang it.
items for any of the characters. They're going to be too kitted out just because you wanted to fund them. Like if you know what? At this point, I'm going to make Anthony Cassidy the new patron. You guys are gonna come back to Salsport, and he's gonna be there, and he's gonna be funding all of your adventures from this point on.
Maybe, yeah, he's the middleman between us and what's her name, because she's gotten too big for us, too big
Mhm.
for her britches.
Yeah, yeah. And again, Bosco, I do agree that it does suck that that it does use up the reaction for bardic inspiration, and obviously this is all the main thing, the main takeaway with this, and um they actually talked about this in their videos, is this is all playtest.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
nothing set in
exactly.
stone. None of these rules are like and it's not even like typical UAs where this is playtest, but we're only gonna tweak it. It's like, no, we are literally just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what you guys like. That's why in this new playtest rule, they removed the critical hit rule that they had put in and just have a normal critical hit rule in there. And they changed the inspiration that you get inspiration on a 1 instead of on a 20. So they're trying out a bunch of different things. And if you try out the bard, and obviously you should play with these updated classes if you want to really get an idea of how they feel and how they play. And if you don't like it, that's what it's there for, right? That's what the playtest is there for. And you can submit
Yep.
your complaints and your issues, and they'll listen to that feedback. I think that what they're trying to do with the bard is they're trying to make it feel a little bit more active and a little bit less passive. Because as a bard, you kind of just go, here's a bardic inspiration for you to either remember or forget about. Because again, it's one of those things where you can either remember it immediately and you'll use it that turn, or if you want to hold on to it, you'll eventually forget about it and you'll just kind of have it go to waste until the bard finally reminds you 4 turns later and you could have made 3 attacks that you didn't. So
Right.
this way, what they're doing this way is they're allowing you to use a reaction, um, and typically your reactions are consumed by stuff that are limited anyway. So like a
Right.
spell slot, a counter spell, or um, cutting words if you really want to go into the deep end, right? And then you have these other ones, these kind of smaller ones like the bardic inspiration that allow you to feel a little bit more in control by saying, I'm going to use bardic inspiration and I'm going to roll this dice instead, and you get +6 to your roll, now, and
Yeah.
that feels a lot better as a bard player rather than being passive. And I think you'll
Yeah.
see that a lot with the support classes, is they're going to try to make them feel a little bit more active, which has always been their
Yeah.
bane.
That's like, yeah, I don't know how familiar you are with League of Legends, the video game. But there was at
A little
one
bit.
point where they took I used to have these characters where it'd be you would be a support character and you'd be very hyper dependent on the other person acting on you. So you use your ultimate on somebody and it's like all your resources, and if they don't use it, then you're completely just like, all right, well, I just completely wasted 10 minutes of my time. Like,
Hmm. Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah. And yes, Bosco, communication and out of character reminders definitely can help that. I know there's a lot that goes on during combat though. I that's why I as a DM also remind my players of their abilities. Like it may seem like I'm trying to make things easier on them sometimes when I'm like, "Hey, that doesn't hit. Would you like to use an epic die or would you like to use that bardic inspiration you have?" or did you have anything else that you would like to do this turn? A bonus action, perhaps? Like all that stuff might seem like I'm being nice and coddling my players, but in reality, I'm just helping them remember their shit.
Yep.
Ranger does look much better as a base class with the playtest materials. I like the Hunter's Mark change. I think that's great. That needed to happen, and having it be like instead of changing the spell completely to not require concentration, which would be a little OP, just because typically adding a D8 onto every creature just each turn is crazy. But having it like specifically for the Ranger is really cool. And then as far as the thief goes, Joe said that he still hates the thief. I really like the ability. I like the fact that you get a climb speed pretty much immediately, like a full climb speed. It's not just like you move half your movement when you're climbing. It's like no, you get a climb speed equal to your speed, which is awesome. And then also the level 10 ability, I really like the use magic device flavor, like being able to attune to an extra item, being able to cast from spell scrolls, and being able to use magic items without spending charges is really cool. The problem that I have with that is unless they update the game to be more magic item friendly, it won't be that good if you're playing in a low magic game, right? Which D&D 5th edition typically was like, hey, don't give your players too many magic items. They, that's not part of the game that we intended. They're supposed to be rare, and it's like, well, that kind of nerfs a class that does like magic items.
Like artificers.
Yeah. Rogue's reliable talent may also make them the only class that can't crit fail on a skill check. Yep. And I like how they've kind of pulled everything down with these classes and basically said, hey, your capstone comes earlier. And that means that all of your abilities, like reliable, come earlier. Rogue specifically had like a gap in their abilities that nobody else did. They didn't get like their second subclass feature till level 9, which is friggin' weird. But now they get everything there.
Yeah, because then they become kind of that one-hit wonder, and that's all they're good for is one-hit wonder and hide. One-hit wonder, hide. It was just really lame.
Yeah, and it was one of those things. But you know what? Sometimes smacking somebody with a gauntlet and then running away and hiding is the funniest thing that you can do.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like, it definitely didn't happen.
We're gonna spoil so much from that episode just in passing, but I can't wait for people to see it.
Stop hitting yourself.
Yeah, crafting does need to be fixed. That is the big issue with scrolls and potions, because everybody gets a spell scroll and they're like, well, I better hang on to this because it's a one use item and it's not going to it's very valuable and rare. But if it's like, oh yeah, a mage can spend, or a wizard can spend an hour every day making a spell scroll, every hour that they want to spend in downtime, they can make a spell scroll or something like that. Like that's way too overpowered. Like that's definitely not what they should do, because that means that a wizard with a day off can make 24 spell scrolls if they stay up the entire day, which we know that wizards will.
Now, if wizards can do it, because warlocks, they're more reliant on other people's powers. But the reason I'm thinking that is like if you dip into warlock and then you get that feature where you don't have to sleep.
Yeah,
I mean, you could churn out a lot of work.
You could. Yeah, and I love giving my players scrolls, potions, and wands. They just never use them, except for recently, because I've basically the past couple episodes, Scott has been nerfed completely when it comes to spellcasting, because he chose the no spellcasting challenge in Hollowbend, and so he's been having to like really go through his character sheet to see what he can do, and he's been using his wands, he's been using his other items. I think he's been using other items. He should check to make sure there's no other magic items he's missing.
Yeah,
he
it
keeps
makes
reminding
for
me
more
that
dynamic comment too. It's fun because then
oh yeah,
it challenges you to be like, okay, this is my signature move, but I got to do something different now because I'm about to die. So.
Yeah. Joe forgot. Yeah, and that's the thing is there's so much in this playtest, it's easy to forget about some stuff. I do like the idea of spreading out your inventory and having like a bunch of different cards for it. I try to hand out when I can. I'm not very good at it right now because I have so much going on. But when I can, I like to create little handouts for the cards and hand them out as like, here's the item that you received. That way somebody can have it right away and they can read it off themselves. And it allows them to have that in front of them so that they can remember to use it.
Cory, you back?
I'm back.
Okay.
The stream.
It's paused for a second. It'll come back. Internet.
Oh.
We're having some internet issues at the moment. Please hold. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I gotta refresh the give me 1 second. All right, everybody. Seems like today everything is being a little bit weird. GF5.
I have no idea where we got to.
So I think it cut out. I think I heard about where it cut out. You were saying, and then my ADD brain kicks in now.
I'm also no longer on stream.
Yeah, it's coming back up for a second. You can see the evil face while you're coming back up. Discord. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna rejoin the call on Discord so you can be there. 1 second. Sorry, everybody. Please hold. 1 moment. You have one of those there too, so in case something dips, then you have a thing. Add brain. Okay, join him back up. There it is, full screen. There we go. Now you should be able to see him. Everybody see Cory?
Hooray!
Yes, he's back. I can see myself
Wonderful.
too. Let's hide that.
Okay. And it just changed everybody's colors on Twitch because it basically like went offline for a moment there and started up again. So now I have to get used to everybody's colors again. Anyway, I was talking about how the fact that everybody got an epic boon at level 20. And I don't know if you've seen the epic boons, but so basically the epic boon system was... Hello? Everybody good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There?
Stream is now fully operational.
Okay. Sorry. Pull it up again here. So the epic boon system was introduced in the DMG as like a, hey, when your players hit level 20, you can reward them with really epic feats that they can do once per day, right? Add in a little extra there. And now because everybody's getting a bunch of feats, which are cool, and most of the feats have been updated to be really cool.
Does everybody have
my opinion,
2 feats?
There's a few that have been. Everybody has more than 2 feats. Interesting. I want to talk about my favorite epic feat, just because I'm not going to go through them all or anything. I just need to remember which one. The epic boon of recovery.
Okay.
20th level feat, prerequisite none, repeatable no. You can use a bonus action to regain a number of hit points equal to half of your hit point maximum once per long rest. And then in addition, you succeed on every death saving throw that isn't a roll of 1.
Interesting.
So yes, like things like that, where it is just like fully epic. Nice. But I really like the epic boons. I really do like the 2-weapon fighting change that they did. That's going to make it a lot nicer instead of just like, oh, I have to use my bonus action every turn to do this offhand attack if I want to keep up in damage. Now it's like I can keep up in damage and then use my bonus action for something else as well.
Yep. Super nice.
You may fire when ready. Everybody's still talking about the Death Star.
Death Star.
Yep.
Yes, now to attack Alderaan.
But there's a bunch of different stuff. Like, go check it out. And honestly, like, there's a lot of people who they did this with the last playtest too. It's a lot of like knee-jerk reaction of this character is terrible. This person or this new spell is worse off, etc., etc. Make sure you play with it. Like, make sure you
and
play
give
with
feedback because that's the whole point.
Yeah, and give the feedback because just jumping out and screaming into the void is probably not going to help. But trying out the new classes and seeing if maybe they don't feel as powerful, but maybe their fantasy feels a lot better. Maybe you're playing the rogue and you're playing your thief at level 10 and you're like, oh, I've got all these little tricks that I've stolen and can pull out and use use these one-use items and whatnot. It's all really it just makes it a whole lot better.
Yeah, and I think we've done a couple playtest things and then submitted feedback for them, and it was fun. It was enjoyable to see kind of stuff before it came down the pipe, and then seeing how it changed. And
Yeah,
and
we actually
nice.
played through a little bit of the Frozen Sick, not the Frozen Sick, Rime of the Frost Maiden. That was another game that I really enjoyed, was our playthrough of Rime of the Frost Maiden, where we all ended up being evil. Ooh. Like our alignment changed at the last episode there, and
Yeah.
we all just became evil. Like my character became cold and calculating. We were already on
Yeah.
our way there.
Well,
I
think
to be
that was
honest,
when we touched something that won't be named in the playtest, wasn't it? And that's when
Yep.
the flip happened.
Yeah. It was incredible. It was fun.
And he was one of the Bronze Battalion. So Bronze Battalion has Seeds of Destruction within it.
Indeed. Little Vesok in his alchemy lab. I know people were complaining about Great Weapon Master and Sharpshooter, but they needed toning down. I agree. That was a feat that everybody felt like they needed to do if they wanted to compete damage wise, but they gave it a good trade off. It's like, yes, you don't get the full +10 to damage, but you get to add your proficiency bonus every time without any negative to the attack. So you don't have to worry about trying to find advantage and have elven accuracy before you can feel like you can use Sharpshooter. Not to continue to beat this drum, but if crafting isn't fixed, I will be quite unhappy. Yeah, no, I get it. That is completely fair. And there's a lot of good supplement material that allows you to kind of upgrade your crafting too. But obviously, we want the main game to have that. Yeah, the Treant is looking really good. He definitely looks. There is a character in the Sentinels of the Multiverse game called oh, what is his name? The Scholar. I'm going to send you a picture of him because it is definitely giving me the same vibes.
I was thinking kind of hippie. Nothing against hippies. Just kind of like very chill, very zen, very, very whatever. And I figured since he was surrounded by nymphs and other stuff, that he was probably a little, is salacious the right word? No. Very just like open and like whatever, man. Like it's
Welcome
cool.
to the commune. Yeah,
Welcome
like
to the commune.
exactly.
This is awesome.
Yeah, you can show that picture off on stream if you want, but it definitely is giving me the same vibes. And this guy, the Scholar, is basically the super powerful alchemist who can transmute material. And that's his superpower.
Let's see. I gotta get to the other screen here. Yeah, I won't be able to see it right now, but I will check it on my phone. Give me a second.
Let's see. Don't like the changes to Crossbow Expert, Sharpshooter, or Great Weapon Master. What don't you like changes about Crossbow Expert? I know that they added the ability to fire it at melee to the Sharpshooter feat and to the spell feat, because they didn't want to force people to take Crossbow Expert, but I didn't think there was any nerf in that feat. And I want my Booming Blade and my Green Flame Blade. We will have to see what comes of those, because there are some interesting, like you may be at the point where you don't get Booming Blade with like rogue abilities unless you pick like the Spell Thief or whatever it's called, the Trickster, the Arcane Trickster. But I mean, again, we are only looking at part of the picture here. There's a lot that we don't know. There's a lot of people who are saying like, oh, they just nerfed this, and this. You can no longer use these with this thing now. And it's like, we don't know that yet. That stuff isn't out, and we just have to continue playing and giving feedback to make sure that they know what we really like about the game moving forward. They do need to fix Arcane Archer, and I do believe, I highly believe that is one of the subclasses that they are going to really dig into a little bit more for as far as the fighter goes, because the fighter needs a good viable ranged option. Looking to see. Yeah, the wood grain skin on this guy looks really awesome.
I don't know why a Treant would have nipples since they're not mammals, but he does.
He just has unfortunately placed knots.
They're acorns.
That's what it is.
Here, we'll give him a third one right here.
True. Battlemaster is a great ranged option. When I think of Battlemaster, I tend to think of my Battlemaster, and he was a battlefield commander, right? So I don't think of it that way. That's a failing on my part. But yes, Battlemaster is a great option for ranged. In fact, my fighter was ranged as well because that was the way that you could stay back. I mean, they shouldn't have a belly button either. He wasn't grown in another body. Let's be honest here.
True.
But it's just nuts.
Hey,
tree nuts.
this is where whose family lives. Is right here in his belly button.
Can you put a little sap coming out of one of the nipple knots for me? No, please don't. I'm just kidding. Played a Tabaxi Beastmaster Archer, and he was, or sorry, Battlemaster Archer, and he was a beast. I mixed that up incredibly, and yes, of course, the Tabaxi is the beast. Yeah, obviously, Joe. Like if you could take the time to dive into it, great. If not, like it might seem on the surface like some things are different. I don't think that I'm trying to remember what they did to Great Weapon or Crossbow Expert. Let's see here. Crossbow Expert. They say things you such a practice with crossbows. You gain the following benefits: your dexterity increases by 1, which is something that they included in a bunch of different feats, is giving it an ability score bonus to make it seem like you don't have to take ASIs. You ignore loading property, which is fine.
I took the sap out, Joe. Sorry.
Being within 5 feet of an enemy doesn't impose disadvantage on your attack rolls with crossbows. That's the same. And then dual wielding, when you make an extra attack of the light, or when you make the extra attack of the light weapon property, you can add your ability modifier to the damage if the extra attack is that attack, or if that attack is with a crossbow that has the light property. So, yes, so they took away the whole, you can use your bonus action to make an attack with the crossbow, but that was already being taken away because the Crossbow Expert was basically adding in, you can make the extra attack with your crossbow as if you were dual wielding, 2-weapon fighting. So they're giving you, they're basically saying that you can use a light crossbow. In fact, you don't have to have a Crossbow Expert to use a light crossbow in your dual weapon fighting anymore. Like they've basically taken that portion out, and they're just saying that now you can add your proficiency or your ability modifier to the damage, which I like. It's kind of a minor change, non-change. It still opens up your bonus action though, so I don't mind it at all. Especially when you have something like the Battlemaster and their directed strike takes your bonus action and the other person's reaction. Like being able to do that, but being able to make 3 attacks now with the dual wielding light crossbows, and then also have somebody else make an attack. That seems like that's a buff, if anything. And again, I'm not like saying this all to be like, you guys are all wrong and you need to be better about D&D and Wizards and stop bugging them and treating them bad or anything. No, give them your feedback. I'm just here trying to tell you guys what I am seeing and kind of talk with you about it and everything. My intention is never to just be like, you're wrong and here's why. I may act like I'm kind of an asshole on some of the Slide Into My DMs episodes, but I'm actually not.
Yeah, and you usually, like, I think that there's points where we'll take points and Slide Into My DMs where it's like, okay, I will fight tooth and nail. I might not believe in it, but I'll fight in tooth and nail for this particular thing just to make sure that we explore that because.
Yeah, well, so if you remember, there was the episode that you guys did that I wasn't a part of, where you guys were talking about fudging rolls and debating whether or not you should or shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I didn't participate in that and in that one because I got really anxious about fighting that hard for something that I'm like, I really don't have that strong of an opinion on it, and I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to have that much pressure on me to try and prove my point on why a DM should be allowed to fudge rolls and then get like torn apart in the comments or something. It was really
Right.
anxiety inducing for me, so I had to bow out of that. So I'm not the kind of guy that typically is like, I'm right, everybody else is wrong, and there's nothing you can say that will change my mind. I too missed the Warlord class from 4th edition. I think that was one of the coolest classes that they added in for 4th edition, and I was very sad that they didn't put it in. The Battle Master is obviously the spiritual successor to the Warlord, but if I could bring one class in that wasn't in D&D right now, a full class, it would be the. Are we planning on making the jump to 1 D&D when it goes live, or will TOA stay at 5e for a while? I listened to a long-running podcast that is still running 4E. What is the podcast that's still running 4E? Because I know a few that ran 4E back in the day, and I want to know if it's one of the ones that I stopped listening to. As far as our plans, the current campaign will be 5th edition all the way to the end. If 1 D&D comes out and we are still in the middle of said campaign, we will not switch over the rules or anything. It will be 5th edition for the remainder of that campaign. And then after that, I'll talk with the players and we'll see if we like the system or if we don't like it or if we want to try something else. Or, I mean, obviously, we want to stick with what's popular. So eventually, it might just be that if that's the really popular one, we might have to kind of transition over there just for the sake of like the audience and what they want. But we will always like get input on that from you guys because we want to make sure that we're playing a game that you want to watch. It's not just about us, although like yes, we'll play whatever game we
Yeah.
want to.
I can have
Anyway,
hijinks and fun in whatever system that's thrown out there. It's not a limitation for me. So
yeah. Yeah, then I'm already seeing a little bit of like, please don't do the jump, keep the 5e rules, maybe in the future. Again, like we just need to see where everything lands. If 1 D&D comes out and it is amazing and everybody likes it and the rules, like once they settle on all the rules, everything looks really good, which it's going to take some time. It always takes some time when you get into new editions and do edition wars like this. But honestly, it's not going to be. And there goes the art. Did it just shut down completely? Okay, all
no,
right, we're back.
it just switched.
Okay. Um, like there are still people who think that 5th edition's terrible, and it takes a while to cycle around to people accepting it as what it is, the next thing that's coming. But we might just take some of the rules from it that we like. I like the 2-weapon fighting rule. I might just take that and put it into my games as a homebrew. It all depends on how everything shakes out. Right now, it's too early to tell whether or not that's going to be the way we. Yeah, almost more than a year out since yep, we're at least a year out from 1 D&D, if not more.
Okay,
What
hang
is on the
tight.
Guardian's head? Are you talking about what's hanging from his head or the
Up on the
creature
top,
on top
it's a
there?
really poofy squirrel.
A really fuzzy squirrel, some would say?
Yep. Yes, a really
Mhm.
fuzzy squirrel. Give me just a second because my computer's doing something. What it is yet to be seen.
And then what's bought? Yes, Critical Hit is exactly the podcast that I was hoping you were referring to. I didn't know they were still playing 4th edition. That's awesome. Although I guess they're
It
who is the
just
main guys in that? He seems to me like the guy that's very much like, okay, we've been doing this for this long, we're just gonna keep doing it, no matter what. So I'm
You're
glad
gonna
that they're still playing 4th edition.
you can have blue screen for just a second. I'm trying to figure
Wonderful.
out. As I said before, we love Windows updates, and they're
Mm-hmm.
give me Task Manager, give me death. That's okay
One
though.
of the things
Stream will stay up while I restart or recycle this, but we might lose a little bit of work here. So
one of the things I'd like to do is the whole reason we're kind of building this buffer is so that we can have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to recording things. Or at least one of the reasons why. Because we're doing our 3-week schedule, which by the way, this Wednesday there won't be an episode of Tales of Aneria. There will still be a small video, but it won't be a full Tales of Aneria session. We're doing our 3 weeks on, 1 week off to kind of A, build a buffer, and B, just kind of give everybody a break from worrying about creating the or editing and creating the thumbnails and everything like that. But one thing that it will allow us to do is it will allow us to take some extra time and maybe do a small one-shot campaign that we can post up when it's all done and ready that is in another system, like Edge of the Empire or Sentinels of the Multiverse or Traveler or something like that people want us to see.
Sad wop bop music.
Yeah, I know.
That's true.
It is sad. My recommendation is to go back and watch your favorite TOA episode. I will be going
Build
back and watching.
suspense and cause withdrawals. That's right, Bosco.
Yep.
We'll be selling the cure for an easy $9.95. No, just kidding.
My episode of choice will be the one with the Balthrouth, because I really liked that combat. I really liked the reveal. I'd been waiting so long to do the Tales of Aneria reveal, so it was definitely yep. You saved your project, right?
We'll see. Yeah, it's okay if not. I usually am pretty habitual on saving, but this, I don't know. It's been the last month or so with Photoshop. Photoshop has been extremely buggy, and I can't tell if it's the driver. We've done new drivers, so we'll see what ended up saving and what didn't. So I'll give it a minute. Come on.
Mine behind the game stream from Cory, where you explain your creative process. Panic. That's your panic stream. It is panic. No, I actually do have some things, and I do like the idea of doing a stream where I just sit there and talk about how I kind of craft a game. Typically it starts with just coming up with a random idea. And writing it down. I have a whole list of random ideas here. Like, let's grab one. Plot/creature idea: giants cursed with vampirism. There you go. There's a freebie one.
All right. Opened up. See how much we lost.
Cast Cure Wounds on Preston's computer, please.
All right, we got it. Apparently, my computer is now only working on donations or something, because it is on strike. So I don't know for those, and it might even just be how hot it is in this room. I got a new 3090 on sale, and I installed it. But again, I think it's one of those ones where the drivers for NVIDIA versus the drivers for Photoshop are like button heads still. So
yeah,
I'll be doing some more troubleshooting, I'm sure, to this weekend to see what's going on.
Yeah.
See if it's
Cory, I know you've done some writing for the game. Any plans for something longer form? I have 8 different books that I'm trying to work on. None of them are specifically for Aneria, but I do have a lot of books that I have ideas for. I always want to do some writing. It's just that everything else kind of takes precedence, unfortunately, and I have to put it on the back burner more often than not. I've got some superhero stories or superhero novels that I'm trying to write currently. I've got a couple like lit RPGs. I've got one that I just started coming up with. That's this cool little like sci-fi kind of fantasy, but not really. Like, it's an interesting concept that you have to read to believe. In fact, if you find me on Reddit, you might be able to see the beginnings of that one, because I wrote a little bit on it and on a writing prompt, and I really liked it. So that's where that came from. Did you release one of your short stories? No, not yet, Casey. I have not. So what we're doing with the short stories is we are going to be narrating them. We are going to do full narration for them, and we're going to post them up online. And these are short stories in an area dealing with what's happened in the 2 years in the Shattered Realms and other such goodies. They are going to be narrated by myself or some other people, depending on who I can get with them. And they are going to be I'm planning on doing some voice acting or getting some people to do some of the characters for them, so it's not just my voices in there, and you can kind of distinguish between who's talking a little bit nicer. And I'm really excited for it. I have a bunch in the work, and those are probably going to be what gets released more often than not on our off weeks, just so people can have a little bit of an area that they can listen to in their lives. We may even post them up on the podcast too, depending whether or not we think that's a good idea. But hopefully you like them. Hopefully everybody likes them. Cory's thought process video would look like a conspiracy board meme. You laugh, but I when I was creating my first world for one of my first novel ideas, I had a whiteboard in my room that I basically bought. It was 2 whiteboards, actually. I basically bought 2 whiteboards from um, we don't have a thrift store here. We just have the DI, which is our version of the thrift
Yeah.
store.
DI
And
savers, etc.
yeah, and I ended up drawing the map on one of them, and on the other one, I was writing down a bunch of ideas and character notes and everything like that. So I did have my own conspiracy board for my first world, which I no longer have. I was looking, and I don't think I have anything from that world anymore,
Yeah.
unless it's on an external hard drive somewhere that I need to find because it's gone. I mean, I remember it all. I remember bits and pieces in my head, but I don't have
Right.
like a full map anymore or anything.
That's like when I did when I was doing Dallin and I were switching off on DMing for the Bronze Battalion, and when I had mine, I had this OneNote document that had like links to sublinks, and it was like this net of just like, okay, if they talk to this person, then here's all the people that they know, and it was just crazy.
Scott uses OneNote for his game, and I know that his board is already getting pretty big as far as that goes. All of his different. It's not OneNote. It's something. Maybe it is OneNote. I don't know.
If anyone is looking for something that I recently found one that I like more than OneNote called Obsidian, and it's essentially, if you're familiar with what Markdown is, to me it's like as far as like linking documents together and then like wanting to change the reference, like if you have a name of a person and you change the name and you want it to replicate throughout all the documents that you have, you have the capability of doing that in that but it's obsidian.md, I think, is the website, and I really love it. I use it for my work stuff, for outlining documents, for all kinds of stuff. It's really nice.
It is. Yeah, there are some really good programs out there.
Because it's made.
Sorry. What's bought? Yes, eight stories or more, but don't say that I go. Like, don't cheer me on because I'm not working on any of them.
I like it.
Scott does use OneNote.
Yeah, OneNote. They have the other thing that I thought was really quite interesting with Obsidian and how that functions. You can actually, if you want to pay for some of the stuff, you can actually have it publish stuff as a wiki.
Oh, nice.
So it kind of is dual form, that you can kind of publish some stuff, keep some private as a DM. So if you wanted to keep stuff private from your players, but give them a place to see what happened and all that stuff, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, and not sponsored, but World Anvil does that.
World Anvil. Yep.
Yeah, the World Anvil site that I use, that I basically use to create the Aneria webpage that you can go to and basically see a whole bunch of different stuff. And I will post it. I wonder if I post it in chat here. We'll see if it actually comes through, or if it's like, hey, you can't do this. But if you go to that site, it will take you to an area homepage, and you can see our map and all of this other great stuff in there. And yeah, like there's a lot of programs, and there's a free version of it, but it's not very cheap. It's not very expensive. It's like $5 a month or that for what I have, and I get unlimited things that I can create. So yeah. What else? Do you want to move on from this guy? Or are you gonna wrap him up a little bit?
Yeah, I think I'll probably move on with this guy. I'm just kind of floundering, trying to figure out.
No worries. If anybody
where he goes.
If anybody has any other suggestions, let me know. I know that I'm still kind of like thinking about which character. Like the idea of you drawing a character that I would want to play is making me go, oh, but like, what character do I do? How do this is a chance for me to get a character drawing from Preston, and I don't know what to pick yet. But the Axe Tully Rogue that I was talking about would be pretty cool. I also have my wonderful Jean Dupont that I never got to play, but would be a lot of fun to play. And everybody, that means nothing to anybody but me, but he was going to be a wonderful character. Anthony Cassidy says Purple Worm. Brian P says draw Glitterbug's babies.
Glitterbug's babies, yes.
Mm-hmm. You mean Glitterbug and Bolt's babies, right?
Yes, Glitterbug and Bolt's babies, canon. Let's see. Let's stick these guys into a folder.
Bosco's requesting Mama Glitterbug with babies.
So, actually, I was gonna say something. Something I wanted you to look at.
Okay.
Did you ever read? So we were gonna do that potential one shot. Are we ever gonna use those characters? I want you to look at my my character and see if you can pick up on my vibe.
Let me go ahead and pull it up here because I'm not sure. That's something that I've got in the back pocket, but I'm not sure
Okay.
if we're going to.
So to give I guess context to it, the assignment was to create a character that could have, how many was it? 5?
Yeah, it was 5.
Any 5 magical items that we wanted. Level, what level was it?
It was a level 1.
A level 1 character.
Yep.
So I chose a fairy, and it was a lot of fun.
I had 2 rules. I don't think the fairy's in here anymore.
Let's see.
I think you removed it. I see Dallon's one shot or for the level 1 there. But yeah, the whole concept that I came up with was level 1 characters, but any 5 magic items. The only 2 items that I banned were a Ring of Wish and a Scroll of Tarask summoning because I didn't want to deal with that immediately.
There it is. Naveen Heosaudi. Let me send it. I'll put it back in there.
Okay, perfect.
Or at least I'll send you the link. Shareable.
Bosco says if you do draw Mama Glitterbug, you need to make her have the most exhausted look possible. And then Joe wants you to draw the Wayward Watchtower.
Wayward Watchtower.
Yep.
Let me go and see.
There's a bunch of different ones that we have, so you just let me know. We'll put them into a randomizer, by which I mean I have a dice here that I'll just roll.
Okay. Okay, I'm sending it to you now. There's the link.
Hey, congrats, Joe. I'm glad that the drywall got dropped off for you. That's awesome.
Nice.
Keeping up on that house. I do appreciate the updates, that's for sure.
Especially with how inconsistent I feel like the construction, not industry, but just it feels like right now everybody that I talk to that's been doing any kind of renovations, it's really hard to pin down someone to actually like follow through and get it done and like deliver things. So I'm glad to hear that it came.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, this dragon wing hand crossbow does not do 1d6 damage of every type, does it?
No, you choose. I think you choose one. It's of one of those types of.
Okay. When you hit with an attack roll using this blow, the target takes 1d6 extra damage, same type as the breath infused bow. Okay, so it's basically one of those types.
Yeah.
It just looks like it says all of those types. So you're
gonna get worse thanks to the hurricane. I agree, Spambot. It's pretty crazy seeing all the stuff that's happening.
Haven't picked any spells yet, but that's okay. We've got.
I don't need spells with what I have.
Of invisibility. A deck of many. Okay. Yeah, I see.
We got the deck of many things.
I think what you're going for here.
Yes, and then I have
a bag of holding.
All the other pouches I have are like they are sprinkle dust related, so like Tinkerbell type things.
Yeah, dust of corrosion, dust of disappearance, dust of dryness, sneezing and choking. Yep. Basically, yeah, it's basically like a pixie. I think it must have been more than. It must have been like 7 or 8 magic items or something like that. Because
it was.
You've got more here.
It was,
and in fact, it may have been 10. I may have said a full 10.
Yeah, it was something. But it was a lot of fun to make.
Hell.
And I was just like, I was so excited. I was like, I can finally use the deck of many things, and like be like, hey guys, let's play a card game. And then I'll be like, I brought my deck here.
Yeah. When we were playing with my brother-in-law as the DM. You remember we ran into that fortune teller.
Yeah.
And the fortune teller, they didn't have us draw a card, but they used the deck of many things to like give us a temporary buff and read our fortune with it, which was really cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Gonna get worse now thanks to the hurricane. Oh.
Yeah, freaking the hurricane's just, it's heartbreaking to see some of the damage it's pushing out.
Yep. We always hope that if we have any sort of followers or viewers or anybody in the community that's out there, we hope that you're doing okay, that you're safe.
Yep.
You know, staying dry, that sort of thing. We hope that there's not too much damage for you.
No emotional damage.
No emotional damage for sure. All right, so out of the suggestions we have here, there are 4. Although, so Glitterbug, I'm just gonna put Glitterbug and babies in it because we'll just combine them. So I'm gonna roll a d6 because I don't have a d4 on me. I roll this, of course, and then I roll a 5. Number 2, draw us that purple worm.
The purple worm.
Draw us a purple worm.
Oh shoot! I'm gonna need to pull up some reference because I kind of remember what they look like. Give me a second. Purple worm.
Didn't get enough purple worm in the paint stream, and now we need to draw one as well.
More the Destroyer. For anyone who plays Destiny, whenever I see the large, like extraterrestrial gods of the hive, they're like big purple worms kind of thing. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I have not played Destiny, but they do have some really good art in there for their stuff.
I'm going to take a little bit of different approach on this one. Oh, wrong brush.
Doo-doo. Keep getting chats. People just checking in on me. And then I did see, is the purple worm another of Glitterbug's babies going through a phase? It's not a phase, Mom. I just want to be aberrant. Can't you be happy for me?
You're a monstrosity.
Bosco, I did see your message about getting some community people to do voice work for that, and that's a good idea. I kind of like that. I might have to, when I'm ready for it, I might have to put out the feelers or the auditions to see who might want to come out with some voices and play a character or two. Not come out, but like project some voices. I'm not going to fly you out here to do the voice work. I don't have that much money.
You heard it here first, folks. Cory is personally funding a flight from
At
your
this point,
choice.
Anthony's personally funding it.
Right.
Pressure Moms from Mass Effect. I've never played Mass Effect.
Mass Effect.
If Dallin and or Colby were here, they'd be jumping on that. But I am not the one that has played Mass Effect. What about you?
Mass Effect's fun, yeah. Yeah, I played it.
All right.
I haven't played all of them, but I have played the first one and partway through the second one.
Oh yeah, there are definitely drama nerds amongst us. Among us.
What you talking about? National Thespian Society.
Yep. There's actually I was talking with Tori the other day, and she was saying that she's been doing her play. She's been
Addams Family
doing rehearsals for it for the Addams Family musical, and she said that after practice there's a good group of them and we were talking about D&D at the time. And I got really excited because I was like, oh, there's a group of people that she's auditioning with, or that not auditioning, that she's in the play with, that are playing D&D. But she goes, that are playing Magic the Gathering, and it's gotten me interested. And I was like, oh, well, let me introduce you, kind of thing. So I sent her like links to the Magic Arena so she could do the tutorial and everything. And I was like, if you have any questions, let me know. When you come over Wednesday, we can discuss it more if you've had any time to look at it. Like all this other stuff, like we've been having a lot of fun with it. So. Okay, they want it, or Tinker Joe wants it, or Tin Knocker Joe, sorry, wants it swallowing a Loma now.
Loma. So. Okay.
And that is the correct spelling for a Loma. Good job. Gold star. Inspiration. Epic die. Wow, that's a lot of stuff on one thing. Let me look and see if there's anything else that I really like from the new playtest. I like the bark skin update to the spell. It's a bonus action casting time, and it gives temporary HP to whoever you cast it on every turn. So it's like regrowing bark at the beginning of every turn, and then you can upcast it and do multiple people at a time. So you could basically cast bark skin on your entire party and get regenerating temporary hit points. which can come in handy. I guess be careful kind of how you I mean, you've already got the worm in a good position that it won't look like anything untowards, but just a word of warning, we don't want to get banned on Twitch or on YouTube.
Come at me, Twitch.
Yeah, Bosco, I know we
my
need to do like a
Freudian slip.
webcam channel.
Oh, that's not what I wanted.
I would love to play some MTG. I don't have a lot of physical cards, though. Most of my cards right now are in Arena. Looks like a big earthworm for now. Yes. This guy's name is Jim.
Earthworm Jim.
Everyone loves him. Yep.
Come on.
Ooh, you know what I really liked from the playtest? And you're going to like this too, Preston, I hope, as a fellow DM, is the exhaustion rules got updated. So instead of there being like 4 levels of exhaustion, each level has a specific like does this, does that, makes you get disadvantage on blah blah blah. You get every time you get exhaustion as a condition, you get the exhausted condition thrown on you from whatever. You get 1 level, and you die at level 10. Basically, you're so exhausted at the 10th level of exhaustion that you die. But whenever you make a D20 test, you subtract your exhaustion level from the roll. So if you have the exhaustion condition 3 times, you -3 to any D20 test, which feels a bit more punishing for players, but until you realize that it was disadvantage on ability checks and then disadvantage on attack rolls. So -3 is definitely not nearly as bad. Yeah. And then every long rest, you remove a level of exhaustion. So you go down 1. So you basically, it gives DMs a little bit more of a way to be like, hey, yes, you've been running for so long that you're exhausted. Or it's another thing that monsters can do now, right? The monster
can apply
casts Curse of Weakness on you, and now you're exhausted a little bit, so you have to wait until a long rest.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Especially with, there's been a couple of times, and I think sorry, brains were going faster than my mouth can keep up. In games, as a DM, I feel like that's really rewarding to be able to every so often stretch the players, and like similar to like what's happening in Hollowbend, where there's not a chance for a full-on long rest, or there's not a chance to fully refresh and start to engage the characters in a way that they have to kind of think outside the box and start to stretch their wings a little bit, be a little more creative with what they're trying to accomplish, because then I don't know, it just kind of it breaks the monotony of, or that same of like, okay, we combat, long rest. Okay, we combat, long rest. It just makes it a little more fun. So custom-made commander deck for the DM.
Yes. I am working on this commander deck right now. I want to make a flavorful Tiamat command as the commander, like Cult of the Dragon commander, with like, I've got like treasure chests and other like basically like a good treasure theme in there for MTG. But it would be nice to have that as a commander deck. It'd be great to do like some sort of like this would be impossible, an MTG raid mode where a party of adventurers with their own Magic the Gathering decks go up against a completely overpowered single DM player, trying to beat 5-on-1 or 4-on-1 or whatever.
The control deck.
Yeah.
No. Every time you get into battle, they they banish you to another plane of existence.
Oh, also with the exhaustion is you minus the you subtract the level of exhaustion from your spell save DC when casting spells as well. So it's not just hindering melee. It's saying that your spells are easier to resist or avoid because you're moving slower. And then I think the one thing that I've just been kind of meh on, mostly because I'm meh on the spell anyway, is the guidance change. So instead of guidance just being a spell that you cast to give somebody a D4 whenever they want, it's a reaction to add a D4 to a failed check when you see one, but you can only use it on one person or on a person once each day. So you can't just use it continually. You have to like plan out like, oh, I'll use guidance, and then I can't use guidance on you anymore because you've been guided today, kind of thing. And I'm not sure how I feel about that specifically because it's a cantrip, but it makes it like a limited use cantrip. I don't know how I feel about it.
That's interesting. I mean, because again, it's like as a support character, I mean, it makes you a little bit more picky and choosy about who you apply it to, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Literally made a raid/horde deck for MTG. Awesome. Yeah, a good thematic deck is what I like to play. Like I don't like playing just like here's the 40 cards that are the best or the 35 cards that are the best with your lands. I like coming up with something that's thematic even if the choices are terrible.
Yeah.
You know, and eventually those decks do devolve as I like tweak them. I'll justify like I can have one or two cards that don't belong with the theme, and then eventually they will just devolve into actual good decks. But there's a good chunk in there where I'm just having fun playing a specific like deck archetype, and then yeah, moving on from there.
Yeah, I agree. Like what's it called? Runeterra, League of Legends
Oh yeah,
equivalent. They do similar in that, and it's I don't know. I don't know if you've played that one too, but that one's another fun one where they kind of apply not really a story mode to it, but kind of where you kind of go through each of the champion decks, and then like you there's a specific theme that you have to make it through, and you get to see a lot wider variety of decks, similar to like the Planeswalker stuff on was it the Magic the Gathering Online or whatever. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's definitely like that's the type of play that I like to do is these kind of like really thematic. Like I know there's a bunch of there's a bunch of ones in Hearthstone that are like it's like a small mini campaign with card battles that you know that is the framework around it. But they are always my funnest or my favorite part because you get to play with like you get to play against a deck that you're just like, okay, this is very thematic, and my deck is very thematic too. But I don't have to worry about trying too hard in this. Is the worm or worm blind? You actually spelled it wrong. It's WURM, and I do believe that a purple worm is blind. I think they just have tremor sense and blind sight. Yeah, I don't think they don't have eyes. They just have blind sight, so they can see. They basically have like a magical sight that can see everything within 30 feet of them, and then they have tremor sense as well.
So they're like a not as cool Victor. Them. That's what you're saying.
Yes, they're like a not as cool Victor. I thought Purple Worm was with a U. No, I was wrong. It is with an O. Okay, well, I apologize for saying that you got that wrong.
And then Y would be a large dragon character.
Yes, Worm with the Y is a large dragon. Worm with a U is, again, this may become another take a drink. It's that's Magic the Gathering specific. I feel like this neutered exhaustion as a status effect. Yes, I agree. But when was the last time you got exhausted in a game? Or played with exhaustion with your players?
For my characters,
I've done it twice in my entire career as a 5th edition DM.
I've had it in the last month. They've had it once. It's been a little bit before that.
Yeah.
And that was Tomb of Annihilation, so it just made sense.
Mm-hmm. And I don't like that it was basically a big, like, it was a big deal when you got exhausted, to the point that I would exhaust a character and immediately the party would shut down and be like, we need to rest right now. One of our characters has disadvantage on all ability checks. We need to sleep. We all need to sleep to make sure that's like there was more panic about exhaustion than I saw about Bolt getting a curse that got rid of one of their spells. Like that was the kind of case that we were looking at here. But now it's just like, okay, I got hit with that creature. I'm exhausted. 1 level of exhaustion. That just means a -1. That kind of sucks, but let's move on. We have to finish this, adventure. Preston, it's a purple people eater, says Casey.
It is. It's a legitimate purple people eater.
Yep.
He does no eyes, no horn. Well, lots of horns.
So the guy that you have standing there, there's a specific comic that has a dad and his kid, where the dad like teaches his kid like life lessons and everything. It's on Facebook. Is where I saw it, but it looks like that dad.
That's awesome.
But it's not one-eyed, or is it?
All right, let's give it an eye.
That looks really good, though. I like that. Yeah, I haven't had any problems with guidance myself, but I know other people have had problems with it. Purple Kitsune Eater. Oh, the other thing that I thought was cool with the exhaustion rules, which I didn't realize was cool, but Rangers at level 11 get tireless, which gives them a number of temporary hit points whenever they finish a short or long rest, would equal to 1d8 plus your proficiency, which is cool. And then if you're exhausted when you finish a short rest, your level of exhaustion decreases by 1. So they like it really kind of buffs them as well. And that eye actually does look pretty good.
A little creepy.
Yep. It's the googly eye.
It's the one googly eye. You have to have a googly eye.
Cory, you need to see what happens in Drakenheim. I do hear a lot of good things about Drakenheim. It's madness how many times you get exhausted and contaminated. If I have any time, I'll add them to my list. I have I don't even want to shout this out. This is gonna be embarrassing. I have a total of 1,568 YouTube videos that I need to go through still. I'm currently towards the end of July as far as the time frame goes. Yeah, it's a lot. But I'll try and work them in if I can. I love the spines on this thing. That looks really cool. Although he does kind of look like he's very disappointed in his child right now. It's just like, buddy, come on. You summoned me here for that? Dudes are really set in playstyles. If you notice, their two parties are remarkably similar in playstyle. That is one thing that a lot of people, they end up playing similar characters. And it's nothing to like. It's not a bad thing. It's just that everybody has specific things that they like to play.
Yeah, and I think it's
Like
it's that rhythm. You know what I mean? It's like when you play a video game. If you've ever played Fable, that game was so freaking hard for me to be a bad guy because I always felt bad when I was like messing with people, or like Knights of the Old Republic, same thing. So I'd always get typecast as this good guy or somebody who does whatever, and yeah, it was a pain.
Yep. there are so many times where I'm like, oh, I want to play this, I want to play that, where I'm thinking about different characters, and then I start like putting the character together, and they end up in a completely different place, or I end up going with a character that I know a bit more. Bards, I tend to gravitate towards bards. Like, even though like I'm like, I've played enough bards, I need to do something else. And the big problem is that I am not a serious person. I've never been the overly serious person. And no matter how many times I try to create a sort of like serious or brooding character, I always end up with somebody who's just a little bit goofy and ends up being a little bit more funny. Yeah, Preston, like Victor is probably the most serious character I've ever seen you play.
Victor was supposed to be like a serial killer, and
yeah,
he's definitely not that. So
one of my players was a berserker so often. Yeah, again, like I do try to vary because there are a bunch of different character concepts that I want to play. I have one in mind that is it's a wild magic sorceress, but she's a djinn that's lost most of her powers, or an Ifrit technically. And I kind of want to play that.
Wi-Fi adapter on this computer might be dying, so next time we'll have a hard line run into it. So let's get Cory back in here. Yeah, when it goes down, it tends to go down hard. All right, can you hear me now?
Okay,
I'm back to us. I cast Revivify.
Okay, which internet provider are you using?
The same one as you.
Don't say it.
No.
Oh, really? Wow.
It's not the internet provider. It's my Wi-Fi adapter. I think on that.
Okay.
Machine is broken. So.
The thing that's crashing. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
that's what keeps crashing on it.
I would have expected you guys to have fiber by now.
Yeah, no, I've had fiber forever. That's why this computer stayed online, but the other one doesn't. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna hook up I've got an extra switch laying around that I'll hook into it. I can't see the chat anymore, so I'll just trust that you're watching it. So
Yep, that's what I'm here for.
hey everybody, if you can hear us from the beyond, great
if
beyond.
you can hear us, we're back. Refresh your streams.
Refresh. Cory, keep talking just so I can make sure I can still. You still there? Suddenly I've lost audio from you. Give me a second. It's not one thing, it's another. Let's go defaults. Defaults. I'm gonna disconnect and reconnect. I see that your light's coming up. It's not coming through on audio. Give me 1 second. I think this is a sign from the gods, everybody. I don't know. Try again. Nope. Output device is going to be chat. Keep talking.
I'm still talking.
There we go. And
I can hear myself now.
Let's change that to default. I can't hear you. How about now?
Okay, testing. Testing. No.
Okay, you're not hearing yourself. I can hear you. And people can hear you, so okay.
Okay. Well, hopefully that resolves itself in a few moments.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty.
All right, we're back. We're back, and then we're gone. Then we're back again.
Can whatever hag is cursing our stream tonight, can you please stop?
Yesterday I said
we will give you all the children you want.
We forgot to give some we forgot to do the sacrifice to the demo gods.
Yep, that's true. That's all right. That's all right. We are golden now. Yeah, we'll stay on a little bit later to make up for the difficulties. That sound good?
Sounds good.
I want to don't want to cheat people out just because of technical difficulties. This worm, he.
Oh, that's not it.
I don't know what it is about the eye, but it makes him look vicious. He almost looks like he's a beholder, but he got frozen, and you did that thing with the old windows where you just like drag it back and forth a little bit to make it look like a serpent.
Yeah, the infinite windows. All right, so now he's got beholder stocks. We are creating a new character or a new monstrosity.
It looks like the stream may need a long rest. Yes, we are suffering from
exhaustion. This poor computer, the computer that I have for my stream PC. I mean, it's still like an i7 and it's running okay, but it's 9-10 years old. So yeah, we'll do some Office Space with it later and take it in the back with a baseball bat.
I like that we're adding beholder stocks to this. So that's one thing that always kind of makes me laugh about D&D and art creators with D&D, like people who like drawing D&D art. In D&D, a beholder is like every beholder gives birth to a new beholder, but it's always a new imagining for the beholder. So no two beholders look alike. They're all supposed to be crazy offshoots of one another,
Why do
right?
they all look the same?
Exactly. Why is everybody drawing a beholder the exact same way? You need to do like a bunch of different types of beholders. And I bet you if you type in, let's see, beholder, we'll just type in beholder. There are plenty of like other versions of them out there. It's just a matter of like finding them. But like every single 3D modeler comes out with a beholder picture or a beholder model, and they're all pretty much the same. Like they all look very similar. There's
How many
not much
eye stalks will
deviation.
this one have?
Let's give him 5 total. And yeah, looking at like if you type in beholder just into Google, there are a lot of really cool, creepy ones. Oh, like that guy. I love that one. Saving this. Holy crap. Pinterest, just go away. They're the worst when it comes to like downloading things.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like I don't want to go to Pinterest, and I just tell like,
Yeah,
don't
just
bring it up for me.
Give me the link. I'm not pinning it to any boards.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Maybe there's a little bit more variation on beholders, but not in 3D modeling. But there are a lot of different beholders in here that definitely look a little more unique. But they could always look even more unique.
I agree.
Zombie beholder, Xanthar.
You guys almost ran into Xanthar.
Yes, we did. That was we kind of dodged a bullet there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been, I think that might have been death for our little party.
It would have been awesome though.
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah, there's one point in the Bronze Battalion where they went to not the Underdark, Skullport. They went to Skullport, and there was a bunch of seedy underbelly kind of stuff going on, and one of those was a marionette, if you will, or a homunculus that worked for Xanthar. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
It was either that, Titans. You guys went with the dragon one, so you got that one, or I had a bunch of Mind Flayer, Illithid stuff. So
that's true. We did have the Mind Flayer storyline that never got resolved. I hope that's okay. I hope that didn't do anything with us not taking care of that.
I mean, I won't give any spoilers.
Asymmetrical monsters make them look creepier. Agreed. Having a monster with an odd number of appendages just makes it feel a little bit more off. Wattsbot wants to know what you mean by Titans.
So in that, I had created a I have to remember the names of them. Essentially, with some of the stuff that we had, we created some new things. One of them was like a time elemental type creature that was basically kind of like these echoes through time, and I kind of tried to tie it into with what Sarge was doing. But there was a cult that was essentially doing something similar to the Soulmonger, where they were harvesting souls and like life force, and they were putting it into these basically essentially like soul coins, but they were trying to harvest it and get enough of it, and they were taking that back and trying to revive some of the old Titans, and they were using it with smaller stuff. They were starting with kind of the smaller, golems and maybe smaller monstrosities or like smaller minor. I actually have a book here for 5e for what's it called? Cthulhu Mythos is what it's called.
Oh, yeah.
For 5e, and it's got a whole bunch like the Dagon, you've got Cthulhu, you've got all the old, kind of cryptid type, the old gods type thing.
We fought the Dagon, didn't we?
We did, yeah. That was when Dallin and I when we sat down. So that one was really fun. As far as DMing goes, because we could feed off of each other's creativity. Dallin would do something really cool. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I'm going to put this into this. And, but when we first sat down, it was actually the initial one was, I think the book's right there on the bookshelf-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we were flipping through that, and he was like, oh, I got some ideas. Like, you got the Necronomicon, we've got the Skull of a Dagon. Like, this is going to be cool. So,
yeah.
But yeah, the Titan,
so
the Titan was
like
supposed to be
a version of that Titan.
Exactly. It was supposed to be one of those Titans, and yeah, there was like a mountain-sized one. I can't remember the name of it. It's an old one that used to fight with like this big white dragon. I can't remember the name of the Titan,
like a,
but it's
I
an
can't
actual
remember that either.
D&D Titan. So yeah,
No, Anthony,
cool.
you cannot buy purple worm poison for Victor. No more. At this point, I think I may have to include a Anthony Cassidy as.
We got purple worm poison. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was there was a lot actually. There were a lot of different plot lines, and to be honest, like it was because we were doing it over Discord for the most part, or Roll 20.
Yeah, that was the most
Like
challenging thing to me, I think. But
there was a lot of disconnect there, and I kind of just went, these things are like relating to each other vaguely. Like I didn't really pick up that there were a bunch of different directions that we needed to go or that we could have gone.
yeah,
That's like
it,
learning that after the fact. Now that's even better.
yeah, it was
But I
it
think
was just kind of a and I think that disconnect too, because it was a little bit, if I remember correctly, there was some weeks too. This was during like the whole COVID pandemic fun, and I think there was a couple weeks where we'd go between, and you'd have issues with like Discord, like where the audio would just be weird, or Roll 20 was just garbage, and it was just really frustrating
because it was everybody was on or something like that.
Yeah.
So
As a medium, it's good when it works, but I very much prefer in person.
But it was a lot of fun, and I do like the idea of multiple DMs running the game, and that was kind of the whole reason I came up with the idea for the Bronze Battalion and like pitched it to you and Dallin. Was because I was like, look, this will allow you basically to have a rotating cast of characters without having to worry about like, where is so and so on this adventure or anything, kind of thing. Because if it's an adventuring guild, then yeah, they're just going to be coming in and out and doing random things all the time, and it would allow players like Colby, who likes to play a lot of different builds and try out a bunch of different stuff, to play multiple characters.
We got to play Ander. We got to play. We got Sarge. We had Turgan and Durgan. One of them, Sarge. Yep. We had Eliza. We had, what was my guy's name? The most recent
you
one.
Mean your one-armed?
Zeph the bastard.
Zeph? Yeah.
Yeah.
You had Zeph. You had Anders, Ari, not Ari, Anya.
Yep.
Annie the pirate.
Anya West.
Yep. We had, I don't remember the name of Dallin's.
He had a dwarf. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a dwarf, like Oathbreaker paladin that very much was like at odds with Sarge, but trying to become a member of Sarge's guild, and it was this whole like I gave him an internship, an unpaid internship,
You can do that. You don't get any of the spoils. And
the Bronze Battalion. I can go into my character here. We had Brissa, which was or sorry, Byrissa. Brissa or Barissa. We had Dira.
Yep, we had Dira. Yep. That was Eve, or not Eve.
Silmay, Bree Underhill.
Yep. She was a mastermind, I think. Rogue.
Danilin.
Yep.
If you remember him.
Yep. Danilin was a.
We're just saying a bunch of stuff, and people are
stuff
just
is like, oh, whatever. Check it out.
Yeah.
It was fun. You can. I think you can see some of them. Did we ever record those ones? I don't think we did.
We recorded the Bronze Battalion, the last Bronze Battalion we did, posted it.
I don't remember if we did before that, like when we were doing it online. I don't remember if we.
No,
I don't think we saved any of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mercenary Company makes a great revolving door for games, say Adventure League or Random Filled Game Shop TTRPG. Yep, and I definitely like if there were one wish that I could like get with my fame, it would be to spread the Bronze Battalion across multiple campaigns and multiple worlds, and have them be a presence in like everywhere, and not have it be like this big like, oh, we're the heroes in every story and everything. Just more like the Bronze Battalion is there if you need help or if you want to be a part of it, And I have never tried tag team DMing myself, but I know Preston and Dallin had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. They did one for Casey Game On. I did their logo, and like I used to do a bunch of their graphic stuff for him. And they had one. It was an ongoing. It wasn't Adventure League, but essentially it was like every time they would have this big, massive LAN party every month, And one of those games would be I can't remember what they called it, but it was essentially like Bronze Battalion, where you could join and like bring your mercenary and sit down at the table, and then they would put you in different groups and stuff and be able to kind of run through. And it was a lot of fun to see that and like see those larger scale kind of organizations and stuff. It was cool fun to see that evolve.
Just post the info in Discord. Yeah, that would be a good idea too. If I wanted to get it on out there. Plans and plans. All right, let's move on to another drawing. Unless you wanted to work on this a bit more. I kind of feel like we spent a lot of time last time on one single drawing, and I felt bad that we didn't get to a few different things, but that's fine. I'll let you finish the teeth. I'll let you finish the teeth. Make it look good. Make it wet.
Make it juicy. Moist.
Yeah, that's one thing that I definitely would like to. I would like to have more of is more community interaction with Aneria as well. Like I would like people to. And you know what? Fine. I'm gonna put this out there. If you are a creator and you want to see a little corner of an area become yours, send an email to our Tales of Aneria email address, which should be in the description on most streams or on most of our stuff, or just PM me on Discord and send me an idea for like a town or a character or something, and I can throw it in the world. They may not show up specifically. I'll throw it up on the World Anvil site though, and then I do have plans for more cameos in the world too. But I wanted to do like a couple like contests and stuff, and if somebody can get a cameo, which that would. Oh, we are getting spammed by the bots. Put user in timeout first of all.
Unleash the Dracolich.
Yeah, we're gonna hide the user from the channel and remove. Best adult dating site. Exactly.
That's what I think.
Hopefully I got that. I think it's banned now. I think we're good.
The best adult dating site is LFG app.
Yeah.
That's where you get to go and play D&D with other adults.
Yep.
Or not adults, but yeah, be careful.
Last one I did, we alternated sessions where mine was past and the other DM did the future, so it made some fun story progressions. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Yep. Let's see here. There goes Cory cracking the whip again. Yep, that's me. Just telling everybody to do, or telling everybody what to do and to do it quickly. Dungeons and Dominatrix. Huh? If that's what you're into. Yeah, I am pretty good on initiative as far as banning things go. Everybody on Twitch is just like, man, we didn't have any spam. Maybe you should be on both, guys. Then you could just chat on one while the spam's going on the other. Who knows?
You can enjoy the spam with all of us. Spam a lot.
I think we should move on. Oh, I like the shading there. Or the yeah. Is that shading, or would that just be like a gradient?
It's just a gradient right now, but just something simple.
And I think let's move on to Glitterbug's kids. Glitterbug's babies, if you don't mind.
Babies.
The babies.
Okay.
But thank you for this wonderful purple worm beholder idea that I definitely will steal.
Let's see. We're gonna go G.
Yeah, YouTube is easier to stream on the TV, that's for sure. Twitch doesn't really have a stream one that I'm aware of on a TV stream, which seems odd. Seems like you would.
Okay, we got our tree. We got purple worm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I definitely like. I'm okay if somebody sends me the idea, like even just like a town name that they're like, hey, I thought this was a really cool town name, and here's a little bit of information about the people that live there, kind of thing. Like obviously everything will be vetted, and if there's something that I would like to adjust or to make it fit the story better, I'll talk to you about it. But again, it doesn't have to end up in the story. It could just be another town in an area. I don't know if you've seen the World Anvil site, but it definitely has a lot of blank space on that map. And most of that, like, I wanted to do a couple major kingdoms and a couple major locations that I knew the party was going to go to. Bell's Watch was a specific one that I was like, yes. Six Hills, I knew that you guys were going to start there. Willow Creek Hollow got added in after Gallon came up with it. But like, there's a lot of space in here that is just for like small towns just crop up, small villages and whatnot. Like you don't see Potter's Path on here, but oh no, I did put it on there. Like we referenced that several times, and I eventually did put it on there. But there's a lot of these little towns that you don't get to see, and there's plenty of space for more. And in fact, there's so many more realms now too. Like there's going to be even more realms out there that you can run off of. So if you have an idea, I'd love to discuss it. Link to the World Anvil. I will grab that again here. Hopefully, again, links work. Am not. We probably should post it in the Discord. You know what? I'm going to do this. We're also going to go to the TOA and lore, and I am going to pin. I'm going to unpin this, and I'm going to pin the world site so that anybody can look at that pinned message and now just have the World Anvil available. So that's good. And it is already, for the people on YouTube, it is already in the description as well. That's where I pulled it from, pretty much. Let's see. Townsfolk idea, a bunch of villagers who have a hive mind that gaslight you into a false Hydra situation. Nope. No false Hydras are allowed in my game. I do not want them. I definitely was... the first time that I heard about a false Hydra, I watched like 4 or 5 false Hydra stories at once, and then I had a night terror that night, and when I woke up in the middle of the night, or when my wife woke me up, I was trying to explain to her that there was a false Hydra in the window and what a false Hydra was, and she wasn't believing me, which was just terrifying me even more, because not knowing about a false Hydra is the whole thing about a false Hydra. So I got freaked out for a good couple hours, and I kind of try and stay away from false Hydras now. All right, so which baby are we starting with?
No clue. Just starting with one.
Perfect.
I don't remember their descriptions. I know one was Sparky, one was Funky.
Yep. So we had Crackle-Tail, which had a spark-like tail. We had Mirror Step, who basically everything he touched turned to a mirror surface. And then we had I wanted to say Fluttershy just now, but that is wrong. That is a Shimmer Eye, which had a pair of large moth-like butterfly wings that the eyes that had like eye patterns on them, but the eyes were like moving. Casey is confirming that I sounded crazy when I was talking about it. And it terrified me that she wasn't believing that I was seeing what I was seeing, because, again, that's what a false Hydra is. Let's see what else we've got here. You need a small coffee shop in a fragment of Aneria, like an intergalactic truck stop equipped with abrasive smoking waste staff. I like it. Barely scratches the surface of Asgar's world builder. Pretty extensive. Definitely a fortress town surrounded by moats and ditches with castles, strongholds with Gen's artillery names. Yeah. That might be one of those things where it's like, what are you planning in my world if you're building a stronghold, you know? I definitely think that is one thing that Aneria does not have a lot of, is castles and keeps. They are wow, I just lost my complete train of thought there. I've tended to like go with a little bit more like non-traditional aesthetic, and the whole idea is that the world's only been around for 1,300 years, and people have been picking up the pieces technically, because this is a post-apocalypse. So like a lot of the places are sticking with different aesthetics that haven't quite gotten to the point of castles yet. Dig too deep and awaken the Balrogs. Yes. Yeah. Joe says he had a town called Riverbend, and all the homebrew rooms he played and built. Riverbend, do I have a Riverbend? I thought I've done a Riverbend. Preston, do you remember me talking about a Riverbend?
I do not.
Or am I just thinking about Hollowbend?
Hollowbend, but I don't recall a Riverbend.
Yeah, I thought I had mentioned a Riverbend, but Riverbend is a pretty common, good name for like a town. That's a solid town, you know. Riverbend is from Skyrim. Thank you, Brian. That's where I've heard it before. Yep. Yep. That is one of the beginning towns in Skyrim for sure. So Bosco says a college recreation bard who owns a bake shop and starts a gingerbread man apocalypse. I like it. Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have gingerbread men models, right? Like mini models. No, not Skyrim. Oh, okay. That's Riverwood. Okay. So many Riverwood, Riverbend, Riverfield.
It's just around the Riverbend.
World-spanning police force like the Arcanum also means less need for fortifications and armies. They basically control legalized force. Yeah, exactly. There's not really been too many wars in Aneria because the Arcanum has been around. Like there's been skirmishes and whatnot, and each kingdom has their own individual guards, but the Arcanum very much was there from day one to be like, hey, we will protect you. And everybody went, sure. Yeah, that's all we
that's
need.
referring to post-apocalyptic Aneria, not Aneria proper beforehand.
Correct. Yep. Aneria beforehand very much was a world full of strife and kingdoms, and the Arcanum was just a kind of like mages guild back then. Riverbend is from WoW? What?
I'm gonna nod my head and pretend like I understand.
What? River. Home village of the Rivermain tribe of High Mountain Torrent. Oh my gosh, yes, in High Mountain. There is a town called Riverbend in WoW. That is right. I don't remember it because it gets destroyed pretty quickly. And it is just a giant crater. So, yes. Some wacky characters broke the sky and killed their leader. Yeah, that now the Arcanum is more about they're about different things. And I do the one thing that I've been kind of hating for myself on this is I started out with the idea that we would go into Hollowbend Keep like for 1 maybe 2 sessions max and have a fun little story to get the party acclimated to each other because we had 2 new characters, that sort of thing. And I thought Hollowbend would be a nice little callback to do that. We've ended up spending we're probably going to end up spending the first 5 or 6 sessions. We're already at 5 in Hollowbend, so 6 at least in Hollowbend Keep. And I introduced there's all these other things like the Arcanum. What are they up to? The other Shattered Realms. What's going on there? Like, are we going to visit any of those? And it's just like, no, we're going to be in this one single dungeon for the first 5 episodes of our new campaign. Way to go, Cory. I don't disagree that the episodes are fun and great, but it's just one of those things where it's like I need to make sure that I wrap this up. I just had too many ideas that came about with Hollowbend, and I really do enjoy the story of Hollowbend and kind of expanding on this idea of this lore that has long since passed that you guys get to learn about. Never played WoW, but that's unfortunate. Does it take it out of the running as a TOA town? No, absolutely not. Riverbend's a very common name. The first time I looked up Riverbend, it was a real place. like Riverbend is absolutely a name that definitely exists. Maybe there are multiple Riverbends because there's a lot of rivers in an area, so it might be one of those things where multiple towns are like, oh yes, we're Riverbend, but we're East Riverbend, I guess technically. But those other guys had Riverbend 10 years after we did, you know.
They're throwing gang signs at each other across the water.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, the best laid plans of DMs, indeed, Bosco. Giving us time to know the new characters, pacing is fine. Glad to hear it. I feel like we've been because it is a dungeon. and the point of the dungeon was heroism. There's not a lot of like puzzles that I wanted to include in this dungeon theme. So there have been a lot of like you go to a place and you fight people and you go to another place and you fight people. And I worry that that can get a little old, but I do promise that we are coming up on the conclusion. Well, we as the players are coming up on the conclusion. You as the audience have a few episodes to go still, but they are really good episodes and really good combat. Look, there's a Toad Suck, Arkansas. I think we can have another Riverbend. Yes. Yeah. Also, can we have a Toad Suck as far as, oh my gosh, again with these chatterbots? Come on. Come on there.
Hey, we've succeeded if we're getting them.
Ugh. Shooting crossbows sideways, one-handed. Oh yeah, it's definitely a Ray's Pizza situation with Riverbend. There are like original Riverbend, real original Riverbend. You know, there's like 10 towns. There are like 10 or 15 towns along one single offshoot of one of the
Old
great rivers that all
original,
call themselves
new
Riverbend.
original.
Yeah. So I saw something funny. It was a long time ago, but somebody posted a picture of a real life location in Florida that had like this big like swampy area with some towns and a big highway like going right through it. And they posted it and they said, I make fantasy maps for games for a living. And here are the types of notes that I think this would get if I submitted as a fantasy map. And a lot of them were like, this is not believable. How is this possible? What's the structure around this? Kind of thing. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it really like anything can really happen as far as map making goes. Like, or as far as like creating your world goes. You don't have to follow geography conventions. You can have your snowy land right next to a desert. And if people ask you about it, just go, magic. Just magic. That's all you have to say. Like, I do try to stick with sci-fi conventions, or not sci-fi, reality conventions whenever possible. But there's certain things that you just kind of have to go like, well, that doesn't really work for the purpose of the story, so we're just going to hand wave that. Rivers in Aneria don't work that way. Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite comments on Session Zeros was rivers don't work that way when talking about how all the great rivers flowed in an area. And my response to it was, yes, I suppose they don't work that way normally. Interesting, because I knew that this was literally like a world held together by magic, which I kind of did partially because I was pretty sure that I didn't want to have to worry about geography. Oh yeah, Scooter in chat is Scott. So make sure you say hi to him and tell him to get back to playing his computer, or not playing his computer, building his computer.
Scott, get back to painting. You can't build computers. Get back in the dungeon.
Hashtag flat Aneria, indeed. Hashtag conical Aneria. That's my favorite. So we scheduled our next game for Tuesday because we had people who weren't going to be able to make it Thursday, right?
Huh?
And then like 2 days later, I look and I find out that day is the day that Overwatch 2 comes out. And I'm like, I actually have to write. I have to do a lot of like extra game prep really quickly because it is coming up on Tuesday. I just realized that too. That's going to be fun. Yeah. Preston, what is your favorite TTRPG that is not D&D?
Good question. We tried Edge of the Empire, and I thought there was interesting things about the systems. I'm just not a big sci-fi fan as far as it comes to TTRPGs. And the reason I'll qualify that with is that with fantasy, I feel like I can readily say, oh, magic. Like, yes, if I can do this, do I have that skill? Yes, magic. But if it's like in a sci-fi setting, I feel like there has to be a reasonable foundation behind, okay, I want to use this object, but I don't know how that object would function to begin with. So it makes me it's a lot harder for me to be like, okay, I'm engaging with this environment that I'm in and what have you. We tried there was a couple others. Trying to remember what they were called. I looked at Pathfinder, and again, I think what some of the other ones, and especially like older versions of D&D, like fourth edition or second edition, advanced D&D. The thing that always got me there was just like the daunting task of understanding it first, and then having to be able to explain it, know it well enough to explain it to somebody else, right? So for me, I think right now, 5e still takes the cake for me just because it's familiar. It's something that was relatively easy to get into. Like I sat down, read the DMG and the player's handbook, and within, a couple days, I feel like I was up to par and I was like, okay, yeah, and I get this. I understand it.
Yeah.
But I think outside of that, I probably would just prefer to play just an RPG, like a Dragon Age or play a Breath of the Wild or things like that. And again, that's just because part of it's just not enough time to be able to go learn a lot of systems and be able to experience them and have a better opinion about why I'd like them or not. But
yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at.
And the great thing about most RPGs is like once you learn one, others are a lot easier. It's like language, right? Yeah. Others are easier to pick up because they all share kind of core themes or core ideas where it's like you have to roll for a check and here's your different skills and da 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 da. There are classes typically, it's a really
just like MMOs. It's like the first MMO, your first MMO is always the hardest because it's like, okay, what's a raid? Like what's what is a dungeon? Like why do I need to be in this configuration? Why can't I just go in there by myself and like do something? Like do I coordination of players? Yeah, it definitely kind of changes the game.
Yeah. I would say mine currently is Edge of the Empire is my favorite outside of D&D. I've played a few other ones like Traveler, Mutants and Masterminds. We played a little bit of Fate Core back in the day, and I played actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf, which is a one-page rule system that's like a horror one that was pretty fun too. But as far as everything goes, like Edge of the Empires feels very Star Wars to me, and I love the mechanics they have for rolling dice and getting advantages on things. Like it's not just about strictly succeeding. Sometimes it's about getting like some extra advantages.
Yeah, like the when you have something epic happen, being able to kind of influence it. And one system I haven't tried yet, but I did buy the rule book. It's back here. My son was really interested in playing the Power Rangers. There's a Power Rangers one. That's a TTRPG that again, we bought it. I just haven't sat down to read it yet. But it seemed really intriguing. The guy at the game store, they sold out really fast. So I'm kind of intrigued to see what that's all about and see if it's.
I know one of the Kickstarters that Scott backed that he just got in was it's an anime adaptation for 5th edition with new classes and stuff Cool. What'sbot says, love the 3-eyed pixie dragon. It looks awesome. This isn't actually Glitterbug. This is probably Shimmerai, right?
Yeah, this is Shimmerai.
Yeah. And then Mutants and Masterminds. Wow, that takes me back. Yeah, we played the 3rd edition for a little bit there. It was fun, but that was a rule book that I actually had to buy. Like, I had to buy a separate program on Steam and give everybody like access to it because trying to make powers and spend your power points on that was definitely a lot more than a lot of people were willing to do just with pen and paper. I love writing, but I overuse commas, says Bosco. I do too. I way overuse commas. I've been trying to be better about that. Sure.
Oxford comma or not Oxford comma?
Always Oxford comma. Oxford is the comma and, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, then that is the one I like.
At least I do not correctly.
Yeah, I don't like doing the single word and word. Like it has to be word, comma, and word.
Now here's a question: where's your punctuation go? Inside the parentheses or outside the parentheses when it's at the end of the sentence?
Inside.
It goes on the Yep. Or quotations. In quotations. Inside the quotations or outside?
Like, wait, the parentheses in quotations?
So, no, if punctuation at the end of the sentence, if you have a quote that you're saying, you put it on the inside or the outside?
I would say inside still.
I
on
would
the outside
say
just
for
looks
me,
weird?
it depends. It depends on if the punctuation is part of something that's being said versus like quoting something else. I'll send you a video that the lady was like talking
Yeah.
about some of the differences, but yeah, Oxford comma all the way. That's like, I think it's just the way that I was raised, and like whenever I do it and people are like, oh, you shouldn't use the Oxford comma, blah blah blah, I'm like, yeah, shut up, like it's my stuff, my paper, my
I
whatever,
always
go away.
when I was growing up in school, we always learned Oxford comma
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Anthony, for if you don't know, it is John went to the store and picked up milk, comma, eggs, comma, and bread. Instead of Johnny went to the store and picked up milk, comma, eggs, and bread. Like that's
Yeah.
the Oxford comma adds the extra comma in there before the and some people will say it's wrong, but those people, this is a hill I will die on. Those people
Yeah.
are wrong.
Or what's the one that says something about like something about pandas, like in the way that the sentence structure changes every time you move the comma in a different place, and it changes the whole context of what the sentence is saying. And
Yep.
yeah.
Because if you say like John had a sister, comma, mother, comma, and father, it means John had a sister, mother, and father. If it was John had a sister, comma, mother, and